Hi, this is James Lucky, uh, presenting the introduction and my part of the job tracker application, along with my teammates Jeffrey Vulture, Abdi Fattah Mohammed, Frank Vaughn, and Neil Natiel. This is for the capstone for CS467 Spring. Um, our project partners were the instructors themselves, and we were able to use um, the projects page, which was pretty straightforward as far as the requirements. There's our repo, and we used GitHub projects as our Kanban board. Um, the motivations we had included that we all wanted to be able to have something that we could actually point to as a capstone project, but also something that would be useful to us. And since we're all, future grads or soon to be grads or graduating as this semester, um, having a job tracker would be helpful to all of us. And something unique about it is the insights page allows you to see exactly what skills are being asked for by the applications that you're interested in or you're applying to. And then you're able to decide, whether it's something you need to spend more work on or something you're already comfortable with, or if you'd like to pursue other applications that don't require those things. Um, and becomes more important when you realize, as I put in the description, that in just the last 5 years, computer science and information sciences degrees have increased by 51%, almost 52%. So there's going to be a lot more grads we're competing against. And this is our live site. I created an account, and I've done a few other things on here as well. I've already added applications, as you can see, and these are real applications. And then you can also see your insights. So here's the insights based on that. Obviously, there's not a whole lot because I only added the two um, applications, but you can see that it does give you those percentages of your applications, and it even tells you down here which companies listed those requirements. So that was something we added that wasn't really part of the requirements, but we added it anyways, and we thought it kind of filled the space a little bit better and provided a nice UI. You also have the menu up here so you can go back to applications, contacts, or log out that way. And you can update these. So if I wanted to say that I actually applied, I can go through and I can do that. And I can say I'm in the process of interviewing, I applied. I can update it that way. Or if I just want to get rid of it, then I can delete it and it's gone. Individual portion. You'll see on the left, that was the plan. On the right was reality. I stuck to it pretty well in the first 2 weeks, and then time and just realizing that Abdi and Neil were able to get the styling applications and insights pages done on their own without much additional help when they implemented. So we didn't. I was able to use my time for other things, and then the Glassdoor, which was our stretch goal, their API was unavailable. So instead, we did some black box testing. Um, so that was some of the deviations. Some of the challenges we faced was like the CI integration. Whenever we implemented a different strategy, a lot of my tests would start to fail or would cause problems with people being able to push their PRs to the main branch. So we ended up pushing it out of the way, and instead of doing white box testing, we just stuck to black box testing. Um, and then the CD integration, because Fly.io wasn't working for us, we ended up going over to Render and Netlify. But that was within the last, 2 days of the project. So I didn't have time to reintegrate the CD. And prior to that, it was just causing too many problems with Fly. So some of the technologies we used was mostly GitHub, Git, and Jest React testing library for me on the front end. And then I protected the branch main, requiring two reviews, and then passing all tests. And then we use GitHub Actions for the workflows, and we use GitHub Projects as our sort of Kanban board. Here's the Figma prototype that I set up. And as you can see, we followed it pretty closely. There were a few differences, as you can see here. Um, but all in all, it set up a pretty good basis for us to work off of. And then So doing the black box testing, as like I mentioned, I realized that the browser email doesn't really work. It does validate emails, but not to the same level that you would want. So I added some testing for that sort of thing. Same thing with the creation of the account. It wasn't confirming that your password and confirmed password actually matched. So I added validation for that as well on the front end. And then other lessons learned. So projects is kind of redundant. I say the CI/CD is a real skill now that I've had tried and failed to implement it. Protected branches are important, but it can also cause a bottleneck. So we got to address that. That's something that needs to be addressed as you're working through the stuff. And then if you want to incorporate testing, it really has to be done with like extreme programming or something. But this is what I wanted to mention about the projects is that it's not really necessary now that there's task lists. And that's my lessons learned. Thank you.
Hi, this is Frank Vaughn with the Job Tracker team. My main focus on the project was the server, and that included setting up routes for the contacts and for the users, which included a little bit of middleware overall for the application to handle errors and logging of requests. I also deployed and connected the cloud database cluster on MongoDB Atlas, which I can show you right now. So this is the cluster on MongoDB Atlas. So within MongoDB Atlas, we can see all of the current applications, any tokens that exist, none exist at this moment, and any users that we currently have, and their hashed passwords, which we can't see. And then if we come back into the rest of the slides, we can go over the REST requests that I made for testing of the backend, the API. So these were made to quickly populate the database and to verify that backend endpoints were working. So these are just a bunch of Postman-like requests that can get quickly sent out and modified to verify the database is working. So if we want to make sure that that contact was created, we can go back and get all the contacts and we can find it right there. So the main idea here was to make a way for the front end developers to populate the database with new mock data and to make sure that they were making the requests properly without having to make a new Postman request.
Hi, this is Abdi from Job Tracker web app, and today I'll be demonstrating my part of this project and how I participated in from beginning to the end. So I already have account. I'm gonna log in straightforward, so wasting any time. So I was mainly assigned to create applications page and insights page. As you can see, this is applications page, which has add application button, and if you click that button, it's gonna take you to this model where you can fill fields, and this is the data I already fill out. And the second page I was responsible was insights page. When you go that page, it's gonna display like it's gonna calculate, like for example Java listed 12 12.50 percentage in your applications and so on. So also the Java says like Java is listed X companies. So yeah, I was responsible all these on these two pages mainly. um, the technology we use, it's Maron Stack, Mango, Express, React, and Node. Um, why we use, at least from my perspective, when I joined this team, I was, have a had a background knowledge about how tech stack of JavaScript being, glued together. Like for example, if I want to use full stack application, I could, have some basic idea on React and Node and then connect together. So that's why I joined. So I kind of forget what I was going to talk. Deployment. So the deployment of this app, it's under process right now. We have a backend server endpoint. We are trying to connect this backend server to the front end, and we are trying to use render.com. um, what are the challenges I faced in this application when I was creating, when I was part of creating this application? At least for me, having issue connecting front end to the back end, but luckily I had to, read the documentation, Google stuff, Stack Overflow, all this stuff helped me a lot. And what I learned from this project, mainly work as a team. One of the best thing I learned from this project was working five um, students from my various, working together from beginning to the end. That's the main thing I learned from it. Also, the tech stack we use, some of the tech stack I haven't used before, so I had to learn along the way and Google stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And if you have any question, please let me know. Thank you.
This is Jeffrey Valcher talking about my contributions to the job tracker application for the Capstone project. My main tasks at the start were to set up the database. I went with MongoDB, using Mongoose as a modeling library to keep things simple. Here we have the application schema, and each aspect of the app has its own schema. The next thing I did was set up the database API functions. So this was done to simplify making requests to the database for the anyone who works on the back end. So we went with Express server, and this was just done to make sure everything was working and to simplify things in terms of parameters and what it was going to be returning. And then I also implemented tests for all of this so that to make sure it worked, but also to show how these things were used to anyone working on the server. While we're in the tests, I also set up several tests. These are all Mocha for actual requests to the server when I was helping out with that toward the end. Okay, Glassdoor, I didn't get to that because Glassdoor no longer maintains their API. So instead, I set up password resetting. So I have my own account. This is our live server. My own account. So let's say that I have forgotten my password. Let's get sent a link. Here is the link. Hit reset. Let's type in my new password. And there, I'm able to log in. I also helped with, as I said, several of the routes and controllers toward the end, particularly implementing my database API functions. So that can be seen. Here we've got our route. And you can see I imported them here and using them all throughout these routes, the controllers. I also helped out with user authentication, in particular getting the JWT tokens working that were put into the header by the front end people and myself in certain areas, so that users can access only their data and not anyone else's. And that about covers it.
Hey, this is Neil. I'll be going over my contribution to our CS467 capstone project, the job tracker. My areas of focus were on the front end. I worked on the development of the login page, the development of the contacts page, and following the completion of that work, I moved on to styling these pages. And once the pages were both styled and ready for further development, I took the final step of linking these pages to the back end that other members of our team were contributing to. So here's the login page. As you can see, there's space to create a new account as well as logging in if you already have an account. I'm going to go ahead and use an account I created just to demonstrate what this looks like. Let's log in. So it's not exactly a secure password, but for the purpose of this demonstration, just wanted something simple. So here's the application page. My contribution again was to the contacts page. As you can see, this is a new account, so there's no contacts added, but let's add person, people, company 1, boss, 000-000-000, email, person@email.com. And as we can see, we can add contacts. So if you have members of your network you want to add here just to keep track of them on your job seeking journey, you can do that. You can also update these contacts in case anyone's name changes. Hello. And as you can see, the name change persists. So I had a really great time working on and contributing to this project. I know it took a lot of time to get familiar with all these different aspects for someone who's new to this area of web development. But being able to focus on the front end, digging into the back end in terms of connecting it to what I worked on here, it was a great experience. And just happy to have contributed.
So as far as lessons learned, I learned that Agile exists and is popular for a reason. And by that, I mean that there's no way to really plan perfectly, and that issues are going to come up no matter what, and it's more important to be able to adapt to them quickly and effectively. So in conclusion, I know in the future that we're planning on having our app deployed permanently on, I think, what Abdi used. And the idea with that is that the group members can have it live so that when they use it on their resumes, the employers can see it. There's no current plans for commercial application or future development, but I know that I personally am planning on doing a fork of the project and continuing to work on it and make changes.